Okay, so what do you think of focusing on just articulating what we see, what we experience, as opposed to art writing? Yung more of how to express or identify things, no? Name things, ganon. What do you think of that? Kesa sa art writing, like templates or forms. Kaya ngayon pala yung title nung talk, no? Quitting Reds and Dancing About Architecture. So I have this favorite musician. His name is Frank Zappa. Tapos sabi niya, yung pagsusulat about music, it's like dancing about architecture. It's impossible. Katulad ng sinabi ni Ma'am Zenny, sobrang hirap, no? Intimidating. Tapos Quitting Reds, kasi sino may bisyo dito? Sino giyosi dito? Walang gusto umamin. Wala. So recently, umindo na rin ako sa alcohol, 39 days. Alcoholic Anonymous talaga ito, no? 39 days na ako sober, tapos nag-quit ako mag-yossi. Kaya ganun yung title. Kasi mahirap magsulat in itself, hindi lang art. It's discipline, so it's very hard. So I think it's an impossible task. So, kaya ganun yung title. So, huwag kayong ma-intimidate if you feel like mahirap yung art writing. Kasi mahirap talaga siya. Pero, mag-share ako ng some of my work. So, maraming form ng art writing. Nag-resonate ako kay Tel. Kasi I have a publishing laboratory. So, we publish zines, books, art box, ganyan, dun sa publishing house na yun. So, zines po ay DIY magazine na ginawa nyo or ng isang group para sa isang small audience or community. Tapos, different languages siya. So, may Filipino, yun. And then, we focus on amplifying the voice of marginalized communities. Maraming ibig sabihin yung marginalized, no? Pero basically, yung mga voices na nasa gilid, nasa laylayan, na hindi naririnig, na walang platform. So, Quago provides a platform for those people. And you don't have to be, like, may MA ka sa writing, no? Mas importante yung danas, you experienced it yourself. So, like, no professional writer or someone who studied formal writing needed, parang ganon. Kung sino talaga yung dumanas, yung encounter na yun, sobrang importante sa amin. For your students, siguro, naisip ko, you can show them different route. Kasi parang you write for yourself, for the artist, no, to articulate what they did and find a larger context for their work. Pero pwede rin pasukin ng mga estudyante natin yung art writing for magazines. So, pwede nating sabihin sa kanila, baka trip nyo yan. Ganon. Pwede rin, yun nga yung proposal for grants. So, it's about communicating lang, I guess. And siguro yung masasabi ko lang, it's understanding your intention, your purpose, and the people you want to connect with.
So in art writing po kasi parang I always see it as two things. Either you do explaining or evaluation. So kung if you're writing as an artist, you are basically explaining your work. Pero for teachers po, depende kasi yun sa gusto nyong ipagawa sa students. Hindi kasi pwede na, merong artwork, magsulat kayo about that. You have to be clear. Do you want them to explain what they see or do you want them to evaluate what they see? Okay? Kasi pag in-explain nila, basically it's to, somehow it begins at that level na, but kung estudyante po kasi yan, usually evaluation yung gusto nyong mangyari. Diba? So what I do in classrooms, because I teach in a university, what I do as an exercise is yung dalawang estudyante mag-exchange sila na they will bring an artwork they like. Or sometimes, depende sa estudyante, pag art students, I will pair students and then exchange sila ng artwork. Tapos, ang gagawin nila is, i-evaluate nila yung trabaho ng kaklase nila. But at the same time, I will ask them to explain their own work. So, from there, makikita mo na iba yung explanation, iba yung evaluation. Alin dun yung tama, parehong tama. way because once the work is out there, it's not the artist. It's beyond the artist. It's beyond the artist na. Just like Eli Buendia saying na it's not about Pepsi Paloma. Well, it's not about how you wrote about it. It's how we interpret it. So yun po, parang as teachers, kailangan malinaw din yun sa inyo. And then, I begin with two things as a writer. First, I begin with the material and the medium. Parang pintura ba yan? Textile ba yan? Also, especially for artists, that's what I look for. And I begin with that. Like, I wrote about Nicole T. I don't know if you're familiar with Nicole T. She had an exhibit. She used textiles, yung mga fabrics. Tapos, dun sa exhibit niya, pwede mong hawakan yung artwork. Unlike in other galleries that you cannot touch the painting, di ba? Parang don't touch the artwork, blah, blah, blah. So parang I find it interesting, bakit yung sa'yo, Nicole, pwedeng hawakan? And then I realized na, because it's textile from the word texture, it means you need to interact with the material. So I begin with that, no art history or whatever. Pwedeng ganun lang, explain mo lang yung pakiramdam mo. Pintura, bakit red, bakit, why did you use, such things. And so, ano nga po ba yung question?
Go lang! So you start, yung two things sabi mo, you start with the medium and then
Second, and then I start relating that to what I see. Okay, na parang yun nga, interesting na, kasi the title of that exhibit is Little Girls Playroom, something like that. So parang yung mga bata pala, mahilig sila sa laro na, they play with their hands, diba? Parang ganyan-ganyan. Hindi lang naman limited sa girls. Like we guys also play with their hands. And so, that kind of idea na, okay, she's returning to this. But yeah, in art writing kasi you cannot interpret what you don't see. So, simulan natin yung, di ba parang, ang ibig sabihin nito ay kaligtasan. Parang, nasan yan dyan sa work, di ba? So, baliktarin natin yung process. Let's start describing what we see. Ano yung material, ano yung image, and then let's try to interpret that. Swerte kami minsan because we have the chance to talk to artists, di ba? May ganong privilege. But as much as possible, I don't want to talk to artists. Before I start writing, as much as possible, I spend time 1 hour sa gallery trying to understand the work first or the entire thing. And then that's the only time that I start asking questions. I also don't like when gallery assistants go to you and explain to you, tingnan mo to, this is the work by ganyan. Well, nothing against gallery assistants. My sister works as a gallery assistant. But nga, for 1 hour, parang allow the work to be there. Right now, because of the pandemic, medyo tumigil ako magsulat because it's different when you're there. They always say na we can send you pictures, you can do Zoom interviews, but yun nga kasi yung point ng art, di ba? Parang hindi naman digital art yung trabaho. It's painting, it's on canvas. So for me, you have to see it and experience. Ayun.
Question, so di ba very different, di ba, yung approach niya? Kasi nga depende sa where do you write. Question, how do you write about conceptual art? Which is more idea-based rather than, object.
Ayun pala, parang know your limitations also as a writer. Parang, but at the same time, kasi I graduated film in college. So most of my friends are saying na why aren't you writing about films? Kasi alam ko yung proseso. So parang for me, medyo I'm an insider when I write about art. I mean films. And so medyo I'm writing as a director, as a filmmaker. Unlike when I write about art, because I'm not a painter, I have that distance. And so I'm writing um, in a way that, this is how people will see it. Parang, kung paano ka nagsusulat, majority ng tao sa amin na hindi nagpipinta, ganito nyo babasahin yung trabaho. Parang ganun. So, yeah, I think you need to, so that's also a good thing. You don't need to know how to paint in order for you to do art writing. Kasi hindi naman ikaw yung magpipinta, sila nga yung diba? But you need to understand the process. Ayun, when I got deep into it, nung medyo nagiging career na nga siya, hindi na pwede lang first layer ka lang. You have to understand na how they do these things. If I don't understand it, that's when I ask them during interviews. So,
That's so beautiful. So different approaches, and then ang ganda nung sinabi niya about limitations and acknowledging that. So writing is about that mastery of ourselves and what we know.
Conceptual art.
Yeah. Conceptual art. But ang ganda nung sinabi niya, di ba? Pero yun nga, hindi kasi object-based yung ibang practices. And those kinds of practices, you can't start with, for example, the medium or material, parang gano'n. So, pero yun, medyo, yun nga parang knowing your limitations talaga is very important. And ano rin, like, kung gusto nyo magsulat in Filipino, kaya nagdala ko ng zine, just go lang. It's actually what we lack in the Philippines. Art writing in the vernacular. We can access that pulso ng area yan Tapos, we're there using English, gano'n.
You need to know your audience. And for me kasi, my audience is those outside art community. Kasi parang tayo-tayo na yung magkakasama, tayo-tayo na yung magkakaibigan, tapos magsusulat ako para sa iyo na naman. Diba? And kung nalasing na tayo kagabi, ito yung pinag-uusapan natin. So I want to open art to more to more people. And so as much as possible, I try not to write or to use theories and words that are so big.